studios across the galaxy where they talk all things LA Galaxy with the Nag Boys. Let's start nagging.
What a ball for Ricky Peach.
Across the galaxy. Keep on nagging, guys. Your six-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
All right. Forget MLS Cup right now, because we're talking about the World Cup. And a pleasant good evening to you wherever you might be, and welcome to a special World Cup edition of News Across the Galaxy, the midweek show. Voices of the World Cup, coming at you live from the world-famous NAGn Studios Tower. Look how wondrous it is. Joining me to produce this episode behind the scenes, please offer your most deranged goal celebration for the only man whose pupusa was too much to handle and was taken into custody at a FIFA fan zone, the Salvi King himself, Bryant Lobos. Bryant, is here? Yeah, there we go. Tonight, I will be briefly addressing the latest LA Galaxy news and rumors before introducing a wonderful group of friends whose World Cup experiences take us from Southern California to the Pacific Northwest to the Twin Cities. I'm very excited to hear what they have to share, so let's quickly get into some Galaxy news and get those out of the way. So, real quick, confirmed, unless you really tuned out of MLS during the World Cup, the biggest transfer news so far is that Carlos Enrique Casimiro has been transferred to Inter Miami. Well, it's an impending transfer, so what we know so far is that the Brazilian midfielder has reached a verbal agreement on a free transfer to Inter Miami after his contract with Manchester United expires on June 30th, which is in 4 days, more or less. Because LA Galaxy hold his discovery rights, Inter Miami is paying Galaxy an undisclosed amount, believed to be around $700,000 for signing rights, and Inter Miami, well, the rich keep getting richer, and then, the Rapids still need a new scoreboard, so, that's how it is. This money gives LA Galaxy more wiggle room during the summer transfer window, which might give them the opportunity to address the situation with Matheus Nascimento, whose loan from Botafogo also expires on June 30th. No word from the team at all about what they're doing with him. Nascimento currently earns a base salary of $650,000, which is a $707,000 cap hit. As part of the deal with Botafogo, LA Galaxy hold a purchase option. Would you want Nascimento to remain with LA Galaxy, or would you want the club to shop around during the summer transfer window? Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are. Finally, on Tuesday, Cesar Luis Merlo, a journalist out of Buenos Aires, reported that LA Galaxy have already reached a preliminary agreement with Santos Laguna of Liga MX for the transfer of right back Mauricio Cuevas. Cuevas has seen his role with LA Galaxy waver as he platoons at right back with Miki Yamane, but the 23-year-old might get an opportunity to compete for a starting spot with Santos Laguna. How would you feel about Cuevas leaving LA Galaxy? Do you think Yamane and Harper Miller can handle right back between them? Also, please share your thoughts with us regarding that. And now that we got those Galaxy news out of the way, let's get to the main event, because, people, it's World Cup season. And I must admit that heading into the World Cup, I and some of my colleagues here on NAGn were apprehensive about the tournament. The expanded format, the ticket prices, the state of the U.S. men's national team. Let's be honest, they look like a hot mess leading up to the week before they debut. The warm-up match against Germany was a hint, though, that something was brewing. Did Poch and the USMNT deceive us all this time? Or were they playing possum? Because the team we've seen play against Paraguay and Australia, who are these guys? I don't know who the hell they are. Suddenly, the U.S. men's national team has captured the attention of a nation, starved for some optimism, and there is hope for a deep run in the knockout stage. But it's not just the U.S. men's national team. The World Cup has been absolutely brilliant. We saw Mexico get all 9 points and Canada get their first point and a win at the World Cup. Yes, there are still some major issues, chief among them ticket prices, which are obscene and have priced out many of the most ardent supporters. But after all the orange toxicity we've experienced throughout the last several years, seems like forever, the World Cup has been a feast for the senses, a beautiful cultural exchange and a reminder that the world leaders do not represent the spirit of the people. So tonight we welcome several friends from across North America who will share with us their experiences. So let's get this lineup going. First up, one of our longtime friends of the show, joining us from Denver, Colorado, the king of the Rockies, and award-winning co-host of the Holding the Highline podcast, Matt Pollard. What's up, Matt?
Edgar, muchas gracias. Good to see you. Good to be here with my co-hosts. As I said before we were hitting record, I basically haven't slept in the last couple of weeks. I was at the Denver Summit training facility tour for the media earlier today, and basically everybody was asking about the World Cup, and I basically said the same thing. I've been laughing at the absurdity that I've made it this far. I've been basking in the glow of the success and the pride, and I feel like this is the culmination of what I've been doing for their 10, now 11 seasons going on with the Rapids. I've been absolutely locked in to do coverage that I think is adding to something more that isn't just the what's going on with Christian Pulisic's injury. And then I've just been completely exhausted from how much I've been working and looking at my bank account and how many United miles I no longer have. And I do not care. Full send was fully worth it. I would do this again right now from the start.
Well, next, joining us from Seattle, Washington, another good friend of the show, the captain of the Space Needle and co-host of the Sounders Scuttlebutt podcast, Cameron Collins. What's up, Cameron?
How's it going?
I didn't know you were the captain of the Space Needle. Is it true that it flies up when nobody's looking?
Yeah, the top comes off and you can fly around. And actually, in several of my courses, when we teach trademark, we have to talk about the fact that the Space Needle is a trademark, and you can't use it inside your logos unless you have the whole skyline. Nobody tell them that my law firm's logo is just the Space Needle instead of Raindrop.
Wow. So is that how
I just want to take a moment and boo real quick, though. Boo! Because we just got through hydration breaks in both of the games that are going on right now, which one of the highlights of the 3 World Cup matches I've attended so far is the entire stadium booing when they go to the hydration break.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that during this conversation because it's one of those things that you're like, why? And then you see the Powerade logo splattered everywhere and you're like, okay, I know why.
Yeah.
But lastly, we have a very special treat for you. I met this lovely lady and her wonderful husband at the Coachella Valley Invitational and have followed their adventures since then. She loves her loons, the Blue Lock anime series, and has been sparkling in red, white, and blue during the World Cup. Joining us from Minneapolis, Minnesota, please give a loony welcome to M.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Well, thank you. So, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. I know right now there's some games going on, so whenever something happens, just drop in and let us know because I know some of us still care about what happens to
We're going to see who has the fastest
Belgium,
internet.
I guess. All right, Matt, first of all, buddy, congratulations on getting credentialed to cover the World Cup. You're living the dream, man. I know Denver isn't hosting any World Cup matches. Nobody wants to deal with the elevation, I guess. But can you tell us what that process was like, about your travels and of the U.S. National team heading into the World Cup and then after this group stage which just ended last night?
Getting credentialed for local media as someone who's not based in one of the markets, I think it was a 12-step process. I think it was actually like 5 or 6. And it started in early January. And basically, as soon as the next window opened for me to get approved for something to apply for it, I went through and I did that. I had to show a lot of evidence of what I had done from a coverage standpoint, which obviously I've got credentials.
Sorry to interrupt.
And,
Belgium just scored.
Belgium just scored?
Yeah.
Belgium scored. Okay. I had to, show proof of my credentials. Obviously, I've got the old cards for the physical credentials I've had going back to 2016 with the Rapids as well. In addition, I reached out to the federations that we were likely to cover. Obviously, at that time, this would have been by the time we get to the second and the third round, Lucas Harrington from Australia and the Rapids would have gotten his first call up. So reach out to comms, just let them know, hey, I was interested. If I get credentialed, would love to do that. I have no idea, Ed, what on the other side from a FIFA standpoint, what they were looking at in order to prove it or not. I know that there were other local outlets based in Colorado. I know there were other Rapids outlets. I know it wasn't the Denver Post, to be fair, that applied and did not get 2 or 3 steps into this process. So I don't know if they reached out to the Rapids and they wanted their take on that. I don't know if they reached out to the league. I don't know if the Federation put in a good word. I had a number of single game credentials when the U.S. national team, men's or women's, has been in the state of Colorado. I have no idea if just somebody on FIFA looked up and said, oh, how many Twitter followers does this guy have? Oh, like 4,000? Okay, we'll approve him. The smaller blog that's only been around for like 2 or 3 years, they only have like 300. We're declining them. I have no idea if AI did this. I don't know if it was random. Maybe I just got the dice roll and I came up with a 20 instead of a nat 1, Ed. So, but, at that point, I got credentialed. It was just a matter of what games. I knew I was going to either San Francisco, Seattle, or Los Angeles, a combination of those. Put in for all of the USMNT games, was not there last night, will hopefully be there for the round of 32 and the round of 16 and the quarterfinals should they make it that far. But I was prepared to cover any of the game in any of those 3 cities, and I got the email just after lunch on whatever day it was to get approved for USA Paraguay. I text my photographer, who's my intern, who just graduated from Colorado State. He said, hey, I got it too. And I started tearing up at my desk. And I fist pumped, and I thought it was going to be cool. I ended up punching my monitor. And so I punched my monitor. I do not break it. I yell out a pretty loud obscenity as well. Other people are looking at it. And then my boss comes over to check in on me because he was a few cubes down. And then he sees me almost crying. I just let out an F-bomb, and I punched my monitor, and he's like, Matt, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay, DJ. I'm about to send you a PTO request for a couple of weeks. I just need you to approve that if that's okay. And then immediately everybody's asking me what I was doing, and there's enough people who know I'm a soccer person at work. There's a number of people who know what I do from a media standpoint, and they're like, that's awesome. They either said, that's awesome, I'm so happy for you, go have so much fun, or you're so lucky you didn't have to pay for tickets. So I'm marinating in joy. I'm hoping the U.S. wins in the round of 32, and I'm hoping to be in your neck of the woods, Ed, on Friday, July 10th for the quarterfinal, which would be the last possible game I could credential. And at that point, if the U.S. win that and make it to a semi, Ed, you could end football. You could tell me, like, hey, Matt, you can't do soccer media anymore, because I will have peaked. Like, this is peak Matt Pollard, Burgundy Wave.
Mic drop. So, hey, Cameron, before this World Cup, like we said earlier, there were so many concerns about the atmosphere at matches and at FanFest. But what we have seen is quite the opposite. In spite of all the negativity swirling before the tournament, fans from all over the world have made this experience amazing. What have you seen over there in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing is the atmosphere in this country was pretty scary coming into it. It continues to be scary. Just yesterday, one of my best friends, who is an immigration attorney, had a mother of a baby picked up and taken away, and the baby is a U.S. citizen. So ICE is still out there. They're still harming people. And that was the concern coming into it. I think Gorilla FC, myself, and then a bunch of other groups had started working to try and figure out what to do about this at Sounders matches, and it was going to carry over into the World Cup, we were sure. While it has on a just what they're doing regularly, it doesn't seem to have done that, at least here in Seattle, around the World Cup itself. And this has truly been a celebration of people coming from all over the world, coming together, different communities, different cultures, different nationalities, and it has been so awesome. I've been to the first 3 matches that have been here in Seattle. I'm sadly not there tonight to see Iran versus Egypt, which would have been awesome to be there. But I spent all my money on the other matches, including getting Category 1 tickets to USA. I got stuck in the worst seats possible in Category 1, and I think I'm probably part of that class action where they put me outside of the original Category 1. But they were amazing seats right in the 200 level. I was in the shade the whole time, so I didn't get really sunburnt like the first game. And both goals were right in front of me. So it was pretty incredible. The USA match was a little weird. Seattle's not known for its jingoistic patriotism. I would argue that we are not unpatriotic. I think it is patriotic to question injustice. In fact, more patriotic than waving a little American flag. But you all saw it on TV, right? Or if you were here, everyone sang the national anthem. They at the end of the game, they sang to the players, serenaded them, and it was just this absolutely amazing experience. And overall, it was great with the Aussies too. I mean, I think some of them on the internet have been kind of a-holes, but the experience in person was great. The experience at the first match, which was Egypt-Belgium, was great, especially with all the Egypt fans filling the stadium. But let me tell you, the Bosnian fans. Oh my
Yes.
God. Absolutely incredible. I mean, that stadium was 90% Bosnian, people rooting for Bosnia. It was probably 70-30 Bosnian fans versus everyone else. But they won over the fan base. They were going nuts. They have that amazing theme song that they actually played at the end of the game, and everyone sang along. I saw people with signs with lyrics from it on it. And it's just been absolutely incredible. And we've seen this all around the country, right? We've seen people come together from different cultures, from different backgrounds, from all over the world and celebrating. And let me tell you, I mean, this is on YouTube right now, right? When you're done watching this, not right now, just click over and look at all these videos people are putting about, of like, especially Europeans being surprised about Americans being nice, being surprised that these cities aren't hellholes that are just awful. No, this what the media has been telling the world, and what our government has been showing the world isn't what the United States is. And I think, despite the prices, despite the corporatism that have come out of this has really been a win for the people who have come to the World Cup. Now, ticket prices could be lower. We could make this a more, for lack of a better phrase, working man's World Cup, where everyone could afford tickets. But those people that have been here, just look at what happened with Ecuador and the people talking about how much that win meant to them, and with all the stuff they have going on in their country, people just bawling and crying. And Cape Verde just made it through today. Yeah. Like, how amazing. So this has been truly a fantastic experience. In '94, I was at Fat Camp in San Diego, so I didn't really get to go to any of the games. I watched them all on TV. But now being able to go to the games, and, it's been so much fun.
Let me tell you something about those Bosnians, man. I grew up in South Central LA, not far from Inglewood, and I know what Inglewood's always up to no good. And to see an army of Bosnians just marching through the hood on the way to SoFi, that is something I never, ever, ever would have ever imagined. It was anywhere in any bingo card I think ever made. A bunch of Bosnians just marching through the hood to SoFi.
It was fine, Ed. It was just a bunch of Bosnians and then Jossie Zardes' dad. Who cares? Jossie's from Inglewood, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's from the area.
I want to do one more thing real quick. I want to give one more shout out because I just found this jersey. I've been going through boxes in my garage. They didn't make the World Cup, but I have an old Cameroon Patrice Mboma jersey who I got to see make a bicycle kick in person against France in 2000 at Stade de France up in Saint-Denis. And being named Cameroon. Cameroon is the best named country in the world. They should belong in this World Cup. It's a shame they aren't there. But I also got my 1995 USA jersey on. So I've been pulling out all the, and this, nice. This one's actually from 1995 though. Is that an original?
This one's from 1996, I believe.
Okay.
Well, they both came out the same year, so it is 95, 96.
Yeah, they did. They have the light blue one and then the silver goalie one too. They all, I think 95 through 6 was, or 7, somewhere in there is when they had them.
I gotta run and get my 96 one because I have the player issue light blue one with Kobe Jones on it. I'm gonna grab it when I get a chance. But
when's your McBride one from?
That one is 2002, the World Cup.
So
it's like a player issue one. It's a double layer one. Those are nice.
So beautiful.
I got it with the tag still attached. This was like during the pandemic, and it was some guy in England sold it to me for like $75. Wow. I'm like, thank you so much. Oh man. So, Em, being up in Minnesota, you're far from any of the matches, but this has not stopped you from having a good time. I've been watching all your social media feeds. Tell us about your experience as a fan and how the performance of the U.S. has sparked excitement at these watch parties.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Minnesota or Minneapolis is becoming a soccer city. I think it's on its way. I think that the World Cup is absolutely helping with that. I think, having Minnesota United here for now their 10th season kind of contributing to that. So there's a lot of excitement. We have some really wonderful soccer bars, and one of them has partnered with Minnesota United to put on some crazy watch parties that aren't quite on the same level as the FIFA Fan Fests, but have still been a really, really great time. And so I've gone to a couple of those. I went to the one for the opening match, Mexico, South Africa, and that was crazy because got to see a couple get engaged at the match, which was very sweet. That was fun. So, he's proposing to her, and I see these two guys who want to jump in, but they let them get their pictures first. They let them sort of have their moment, and then they jump into the back holding big Mexico flags, and it was very good. But yeah, the U.S. men's national team, all of the games have been, it's been crazy. Capacity an hour beforehand is reached. The crowd goes wild, and the first match against Paraguay, it was pouring the entire time. I mean, torrential downpour. You guys probably saw the videos online, but we did not let that stop us. Everyone was having such a great time. All of the, if people weren't there, they were at the bars nearby, just going crazy. It's been such an incredible time. I think we're all really sad that Minneapolis didn't get to host any of the matches. An article just came out about how when we would have needed to put up the money, we had just hosted the Super Bowl. We were about to host the Final Four the next year, and just financially the timing didn't work out. So people are really sad about that. I think US Bank Stadium would have been an incredible venue, but we're making the most of it.
Should have been at the Metrodome. Come on.
Exactly.
Just, if I can piggyback off of that, I'm so glad that I made the intentional effort to go to cities where the World Cup was actually happening. When I was in Los Angeles, obviously you didn't have as much of a vibe just because it's so big. I wonder if you're in Central Park West, tonight, and maybe there's a game over the weekend in New York. Do you really feel that vibe and that energy given where the stadium is? Los Angeles is so big that there was enough going on, and I got there on the day that a Mexico game was playing, so obviously every single person who was 1/100th Mexican was wearing an El Tri kit, which was fine, but I would just say being in Seattle, Cameron, for the USA Australia game, everybody was wearing something that was out. I went to the Sounder at Heart meetup that you had before, and then being at the March to the Match. I've never been in Seattle for a Sounders game. I've never seen the Rapids played there, but there was a feeling there wasn't anybody who was the only people who were outside on Friday morning, either have to work in person and weren't able to work remotely on that game. We're physically working something to keep the city in structure for the game to occur, or we're physically going to a bar or going to the game itself. And to feel that atmosphere, to feel the energy, to leave the stadium 4 hours after the game. I've published everything, and I'm sitting next to Pablo Maurer and Adam Arasevich from The Guardian. We're we're all done with stuff, right? And we're yeah. Does anybody have to be somewhere? No. Do we want to find a random bar and get shit-faced with a bunch of Aussies? Maybe. And then I think I'm invited to a wedding in Australia that's in a couple of years as well. I've got friends who want to put me up if I go to a Perth Glory game as well. I've got 3 people that me and the girlfriend are going to host should they ever find their way in Colorado. So to your point, Cameron, forget the narratives that we have from a media standpoint. This isn't even just a political angle as well, just the World Cup is a celebration of people going out, celebrating their culture together, mixed in with other cultures, and just touching grass and having fun. And I can't imagine how many Cape Verdeans have made friends in other places as well. How many Algerian kids in Algeria right now are looking at universities and maybe we're thinking they were going to go outside. Eventually, I'm so curious to see, is there a like 10x boost in the number of international students from Algeria applying to the University of Kansas? Like, does Glasgow and Boston become like sister or brother cities like that? And so that's been so wonderful. And I'm so glad that I intentionally went to Seattle, that has an atmosphere and a structure set up to where that happens in ways that you would not have in Los Angeles. I don't think you're having in San Jose, California.
Yeah, not even San Jose, because I went to school there. Santa Clara.
Santa
I went to Santa
Clara.
Clara University. Give us our credit, man.
Yeah, and so
No, I mean,
like,
it's nowhere near San Francisco. There's no people who are in San Francisco are not experiencing the World Cup at all.
yeah, so like I'm hearing, like, unless you're McGregor Square is the stadium district that they set up for Coors Field where the Rockies play, and they have a nice outdoor venue where they'll do events and stuff, a lot around baseball, a lot around concerts, but they've had it there. But like if you're not physically at the McGregor Square area, or if you're not physically in one of the bars showing games, or if you're not within a mile and a half of downtown, if you're just randomly in your suburb in Centennial or in Commerce City, to use the Rapids analogy, like I don't know that other than like seeing your neighbor who's of a particular ethnic persuasion to wearing their national team or their club team kit, that like that's penetrated. And that's where I think the US and Canada and Mexico, the World Cup games being so spread out, it's very concentrated in certain areas and then it diffuses immediately. And that's where like if England or France or these smaller geographic countries, or even like you had in Russia where 90% of the games were in two cities that were a couple hours apart, you don't really get that fever, that takeover in the same way that, you know, a host city hosts the Olympics, and that's the only thing anybody's thinking about for a month. So I'm so glad that I experienced that. I think there are ways for people in other markets, Denver, Minneapolis, Gaylord, Michigan, to experience this, but you have to go out and seek it out. If you stepped outside of your house on Juneteenth in Seattle, like you got high-fived by a USMNT fan or an Aussie fan shaking an inflatable kangaroo at you, and inject that into my veins.
It was incredible, and I think my dad came down. He originally was going to go to the game with me. I was really excited. He gave his ticket to my mom because she hadn't been able to go to a Sounders game in 2 years, and she had hip surgery and knee surgery, which it was fun to go with my mom. But I will say my dad is turning 86 this year, so it would have been cool to be able to go with him because I don't know if another World Cup will be possible. But such a great experience. But the moment I rode the light rail to the game. I live 4 blocks from the light rail. I'm not near. I mean, I'm near-ish downtown, but I'm in a neighborhood. Rode the light rail in. It was packed with fans of all teams. You get down there, people everywhere. My dad, who came down to my mom, estimated, because he watched it on the big screen outside, people were coming down there just to watch the game. It wasn't like you're just going to go to the game. No, there was watch parties all along here. Also, within 2 miles of the stadium, cars are not allowed. So it's all people. And he estimated about 500,000 because it was very similar to the Seahawks championship parade. Wow. So, I mean, it was an absolutely incredible experience. And just they had the largest earthquake in sports history in Seattle. We're famous for the Beastquake when Marshawn Lynch caused it. Then there was a Taylor Swift earthquake after that. When that Freeman goal was actually allowed, it was the largest earthquake that we've had because the stadium's built right on top of a fault line. So when the fans cheer, it causes earthquakes.
Jeez. Out here in LA, as far I know you were here in LA for a little bit, Matt, but as far as LA County, LA is so big, right? It's so spread out that like you're like, where do I go? LA Galaxy is having like watch parties that they're hosting in the city of Long Beach. They closed a few blocks, but they have a certain limit. Then there's the one at the LA Coliseum, which is an official FIFA fan fest, and that one is run by scumbag Chris Klein. So a lot of Galaxy fans have been boycotting it, and
it's not employed by the team anymore.
Like it's supposed to be free, but they were charging people to go in, and when they asked him why, he's like, it's to keep certain people out, and it's like, what? Okay,
that's crazy.
Fine out. The Galaxy should rehire him so they can refire him.
Yeah, that's wild because here they're charging, but I know for a fact that the Sounders and Reign we're putting on are losing money off of it because of how they brought in a barge and they completely built a barge, and fans are watching on a barge that's docked at one of the piers. So they've gone all out for that. I unfortunately didn't get to make it out to any because of the event I was supposed to go to was canceled. But these parties that FIFA has put on, they've been very selective about who could put them on, right?
Yeah.
In these only MLS teams, and they let the Rain come over and host it with the Sounders since they have the same owner. But only MLS teams were allowed to put on the official FIFA parties.
Yeah, and unfortunately over here they're charging people. I live in a corner of LA County where NAG Tower is. That's kind of like way off in the east, and so either I ride the train for an hour to get into LA, or I
Ooh,
go
a train
to
rider in LA. I gotta give you props for that.
yeah, I do. Whenever there's something in LA, I always take the train into the city. It's not that far from here too, which is cool. But I went to this local pub that it's an LA Galaxy pub. It's called Aero Lodge. Shout out to Aero Lodge, and it's also the hub for our local AO, which is American Outlaw San Gabriel. And so I went there, and a lot of the people were at the game, but it was still cool to just go there and be at this nice little pub. And here's the funny thing, right? We've been talking about all the stuff that's been going on, right? The stuff you see in the media, the stuff with the man running, the White House and everything. So everybody hasn't really felt very rah USA, but they scored that first goal against Paraguay, and everybody's like, yeah, waving flags, and then you get the USA, US, and then people start looking at each other, and they're like, USA, right? So everybody's like kind of conscious, like, okay. But then the second goal comes in, and everybody's just like, yeah, and then you just forgot about it. You focused on the game, you focused on the players, and everybody had a really good time. It's a form of escapism, right? Real quick, let me address that super chat from Adam. Adam is one of our most loyal viewers, listeners. Adam, let's put that up real quick. A little healing music for Christian Pulisic. He asks, you guys know if Aaron Herrera is going to LAFC? I looked it up real quick. I know DC United waived him. So far, I don't think there's anything linking him to LAFC. So I don't know what your source is or where you heard that from, but have you guys heard anything at all?
No.
That's
I was surprised that we were talking transfers. Do you guys get transfers? The Sounders we don't sign players. We have to do more with less because we have a poor owner.
Oh no. Well,
hey, but we did get a bunch of money for Georgie Manungu.
No, don't get Matt started. Poor Matt.
Hey, Georgie's going to be a star for you guys.
Yes, Georgie Manungu, if nothing else. We got that. And Josh Atencio's been a starter this season. He's been good too.
Josh is great. Those are both players that we do miss in Seattle, but both of them, by moving on to Colorado, were able to get more minutes, and I'm proud of both of them for coming through. They're both really good kids, and I had a chance to meet each of them at some point, and they're nice guys. So, I feel like MLS transfer news has disappeared because all we're getting is the really big news from players leaving, that are stars in the World Cup, leaving and going to other clubs.
Yeah. All right, folks. So
Bogart's focusing too much on what's going on with Pulisic's calf. That's occupying all of his time, and there's only so many hours in the day.
Did he get hurt doing the Trump YMCA dance? Is that what happened?
He received a tackle late in the first half against Paraguay. It was a halftime sub. Scratched late against Australia and then subbed on last night. Presumably good to go for Bosnia.
Looked good last night.
Yes.
All right, folks, here we go. As I stated earlier, there was this ominous cloud, right? We were talking about that. It's ominous cloud of uncertainty looming above the World Cup, but the play of the host teams, Mexico, Canada, USA, and the enthusiastic, passionate, cheerful behavior of the various fan bases have all but crushed that negativity, from the Tartan Army in Boston to the novella K-drama romance between Mexicans and South Koreans, to the Norwegian rowing Rus, and the Germans dancing in the clubs all across the South, and so many others. It's been a momentary reprieve and has brought us all closer to a mutual understanding. Yes, like I mentioned earlier, it's a form of escapism, but there's so much more under this. Matt, I know you mentioned a lot about what you've seen both in LA and Seattle, covering the U.S., but what do you think this means for the future of U.S. soccer fandom?
Uh, it's tough for me, Ed, because like we've seen the cringe moments of like the two guys who were filming the, and where you go, we'll follow, we'll follow, we'll follow, and they're doing the chant, and it's kind of, the crowd's kind of half into it, and then one of the bros says to the other guy, like, this is why nobody in Europe takes us seriously, and then I saw another post, I think it was at one of the watch parties, not one of the host cities or whatever, where there were a bunch of Americans, or it was a bunch of Canadians doing like a canoe row, taking off the Norway one. So I think it's good that there's been little pockets of organic fandom. When the Colorado Avalanche made their cup run a few years ago, Ed, everybody glommed on to one of the Blink-182 songs. I'm blanking on which one it was. I know the LA Kings that one year made a really big deal about Join the Black Parade. I do think the hydration breaks, for all of how they're flawed and how I don't care for them, is an opportunity in stadium to kind of engage the crowd in like a very 1996 MLS way. So they were playing, Living on a Prayer. Like, imagine if like Mr. Brightside or Jump Around was played during the break before the start of the fourth quarter, right? So that's been fun to see. I think at the end of the day, World Cups are an opportunity for a lot of people who are soccer curious or new to soccer to see it and experience. And there's a bunch of Americans who've had that every 4 years, to where I want to believe there's some conversion, even if it's not, even if it's mostly in some of the host cities. And I want to think that somehow connects back to MLS. I still think that MLS has not done enough to where I think they're riding the wave. I'm so excited to see, I'm so curious to see what that Wednesday, Saturday, July 22nd and the July 25th look like from an attendance standpoint. But if nothing else, Ed, there's a 5-year-old kid right now who's falling in love with the game, who's going to go out and kick a soccer ball, who one day is going to play for an MLS Academy or an MLS First Team or the U.S. Men's National Team. And I think that's a net positive, even if there's some cringe memes and some Europeans not taking us seriously in the process.
And the women's team as well. Let's mention that as well, because
yes,
we're 2 years removed from a Women's World Cup, and this excitement is going to carry over to that tournament, which is going to be in South America. I think Brazil. I think it is. So it's something. I know we're still in the middle of it, but it's just based off what we've seen right here. It's something to whet the appetite, to get you prepared for the next World Cup cycle, which is the Women's World Cup. And that's something to really look forward to as well. Cameron, what do you think that this World Cup has done? And we kind of broached this a little bit, but what do you think this has done for the perceptions of the outside world regarding footy in the U.S. and Canada and Major League Soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, people who have come to this country are shocked at how friendly Americans are. And I think that is generally true in most places in America. I don't think that's a red versus blue thing or anything like that. I think Americans tend to be friendly because they want people to like where they live and have a good time. And, Seattle is notorious for the Seattle Freeze, which back in the day was about not saying hi to Californians who kept moving here. But now it's all the tech transplants that have moved here, and all the people from the suburbs don't look at one another and don't talk. But as someone who grew up in this city and have been lucky enough to stay in the city, which there's not a lot of us left, I love showing people around, and I'll talk to anyone and talk about the city. So I think that is true throughout this country, and people have come in and expected stuff. I think maybe they have gained some weight. I think I heard it referred to as the World Cup 15, because the food in the United States is so processed and the portions are so much bigger, that there's a lot of people coming in and eating a lot of really bad food. But as a whole, I think that it's really opened up a lot of people's eyes that there is soccer culture here. I think you've seen little kids around this country are into this in a way that maybe they used to be into other sports, and it's already has it moved to third? It passed hockey. I think they're expecting that it'll be the third most popular sport. It's like 18 under, but it's going to continue to grow, right, as people grow up. And so, yes, will MLS do something with this? I think it's going to be a team by team thing. I think certain teams are going to really benefit. I think the Sounders will benefit. We're already seeing Ballard FC, the USL2 team, benefit greatly from it. I'm sure that West Seattle Junction, and I think we have 4 USL teams in their area now, have all benefited from it. But Ballard, I know for sure, has benefited because people are really excited about it. Plus, a bunch of Aussies went over and went to a game the night before that match. So you're seeing downstream, it's already benefiting U.S. soccer. Will the MLS capitalize on it? The Sounders have their branding all over it in Seattle because they were like, we know this is something that's big. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance for us to do this. I think a team like that will, if they win and if they can score goals. We don't have a starting MLS number 9, so that's questionable. And our only signing we're getting seems to be a youth player, and he's a winger. So we're still not going to have a starting number 9 coming out of the World Cup break. So a long playoff run is unlikely. However, if they do win some games down that stretch and we're getting Pepo de la Vega back, I think you will see it translating into butts in the seats and the show rate continuing to go up. It was great going into the World Cup. It will continue. Now, will it do anything for a city, I don't know, Charlotte? I don't know. Yeah.
Let's see. A lot of casual sports fans have taken notice of Team USA. It's something I think we've all noticed as well, no matter where we are. I had there's a guy I follow in LA Kings Twitter group, and he's older. He's like I think he got raised in the 60s and 70s, and he's like an old gruffy guy who, in the past, I mentioned to him like, hey, if you want to come and hang out, watch a Galaxy game. He's like, I don't like soccer. He said in a very Dirty Harry voice, I don't like soccer or something like that. And then he's tweeting me talking about how great the U.S. men's national team is, and he's talking about like, who's gonna start in this game? What do you think about this? And I'm like, dude, this dude like really got into it. So that's really cool. But like I was asking you, so people have taken notice of Team USA and the World Cup itself, the teams, the traditions, the players. What will it mean for this country? And you guys can chip in also after she answers. But what will it mean for this country if the U.S. makes it to the final and wins?
I mean, would love
You
to see
can
that
end
happen.
soccer at that point. It's peaked. It's
We
over.
did it.
That's the last game ever.
We won.
Donald Trump, president forever. That's what.
Look, a cat just walked across the
Yeah,
screen.
I was like, no, I'm out.
Just choosing to laugh and left.
Watch, the U.S. is going to be
It's
getting the
funny having-
trophy, and then you're going to look up to the sky and see like a bright object falling from the sky.
He's going to be down there celebrating just like when he was down there celebrating with Chelsea at the Club World Cup and took a medal. Oh my God, it's going to be so embarrassing.
The picture
Pulisic's
of
going to
Trump
achieve Nirvana. Like
He's going to start glowing.
No, Pulisic's going to turn into a force ghost. Like he's just going to disappear, and then
He's going to be raptured away.
yes.
Oh God.
What about Lawless? What's going to happen to him?
Oh God,
Thankfully, Thierry Henry and is there to beat him up.
yeah.
Lawless is going to go
Zlatan
full Saiyan.
Zlatan's
Oh.
going to jail if that happens.
Oh, yeah, I mean, can we talk? I mean, since you're in there covering it from the media, I would like to hear what is the media talk around this whole talking point now, where half of them seem to be defending Alexi Lawless, and the other half are saying Alexi Lawless is soccer 1.0 in America. Soccer fans have moved past this, and it's embarrassing. And I don't mean to say that to get you in trouble. You could say other people are saying stuff.
He is a ginger, so I do claim him in that he's a part of things.
I
Technically,
am a secret
have
ginger.
to.
I used to be.
Daywalker, given your hairline situation there, Cameron. It hasn't come up a whole lot. I mean, obviously, because there's a fair number of international journalists. Again, 3 of the 4 games that I've gone to will be United States men's national team, and unless something horrible goes wrong, chances are at least one of the final 2 that I go to as well will also involve the U.S. So there's a fair number of international outlets or outlets from abroad that are there specifically to cover the U.S. There's a guy, Ed, if you know him, Peter Rutzler, who used to cover Fulham for The Athletic, is now with the Times London, and he's just just in bed. Like, his assignment for the third biggest football web news outlet in England was to cover the United States men's national team, because they've got a few guys who play in the Premier League, other ones like that. So there's injuries, stuff like that he's covering. Like, and someone in Peter Rutzler's situation, like, knows Alexi Lalas from the meme of his getup from the '94 World Cup. Maybe knows that he played in MLS, might know that he was might have to be told, hey, he was the GM of the Galaxy when they signed David Beckham. Oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But then, like, knows that he's just sort of a bombastic guy who has hot takes. And there's a number of former players in England doing media where that's kind of their shtick, right? Yeah. So I don't know that some of them, if they're super in on Twitter, like, the algorithm will probably show some of the stuff. But, like, were they watching, like, Alexi's crazy MLS hot takes when Fox is covering those games? I don't know that they were. So probably much of what they've seen have either been him interacting with the crowds where he's either being the hype man, or the first introduction of, like, this is how they interact with them is Zlatan or Thierry Henry shutting down one of his thoughts, or the three of them making a joke about, oh, Alexi's left us, America, you're welcomes. I think the more interesting thing, Cameron, is I did not watch the, like, fake post show or whatever where they had Zlatan do the fake lie detector test, and he was asked, like, do you think you're the best player ever? And he said yes, and that came back as true. And then he got asked, do you respect everyone that you work with at the desk with Fox? And he says no, and they say that come back as truth. And it was probably fake, but I think the fact that when their shoulder programming is doing that, when Alexi's pulled away to do something in person in one of the markets instead of being in the studio in New York or Los Angeles, and his co-hosts, who he works with closely, are making jokes about it. Like, it's very clear, like, we've broken containment. Like, this is, on some level, Jesse Waters knows that there's a bunch of people dunking on him after Jessica Tarloff dunks on him on the 5 on Fox News. So the fact that they're making a joke about it, I think everybody knows that that's going on. I think the question is, like, what does Alexi think about this? Because I listened, full disclosure, I listened to his podcast, and I think he's way more coherent. I don't care for Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports, but the stuff that he does with the volume when it's about my team or one of the games I'm interested in, when he doesn't have to be this hot take, bombastic film, like, he actually talks about it. And he's spoken on and off the record a number of times about how on some level he's playing a character. Like, Alexi Lalas on his podcast or in person is himself naturally, and when he's at the Fox decks, he's Stephen Colbert's character on the Colbert Report. And so I disassociate those two, and I think most of the people in media focus on their actual coverage, not focusing on the coverage of that. Yeah. And Lawless is just taking up air in the room that we could be focused on covering the Iran players speaking out, or all of the other stuff that is way more interesting, and still gets clicks from a written media standpoint and a short form video standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about Alexi is he obviously likes to be a lightning rod. He obviously puts himself in those positions. But I remember one time, maybe it was Taylor Twellman, whoever he was doing the broadcast with at the time was sick, and he had to do it by himself as the lead broadcaster, and it was just him. And he started telling stories about first moving to Italy and how difficult it was for him to move there. He didn't speak Italian. There was no Americans there. He was the first American, not ever, but at that time to be there. And he literally would go to his hotel room and cry every night. And he was completely serious. I mean, it made me like him as a person because he actually opened up and talked about what he'd been through versus this character he plays. And I don't know where I stand, because I do think it's kind of despicable to play this character then, because I think it hurts the discourse, right? But at the same time, that's how he makes his money. So it's been frustrating and embarrassing kind of to be an American and have him be our representative.
You can enjoy the Knicks winning the NBA championship and watching the NBA playoffs without consuming 1 second of Stephen A. Smith's,
I did the exact thing.
And you can very easily do that with the World Cup and not paying attention to Alexi Lalas. Shout out if you were remotely conversational in Spanish like I am. The stuff that they've had on Telemundo and the shoulder programming and the in-studio stuff has been absolutely fantastic, and I've gotten way better at Spanish just listening to them. And it is so much, particularly if you're watching a Spanish team or a Latin American team play, it is way more of a vibe than watching them in English, 100%.
Now that you mentioned that, it's interesting. like I said, I'm a native speaker of Spanish, so when I've been used to watching the World Cup on Telemundo or wherever it's on Spanish, and I'll switch to English here and there just to get a different perspective. But um, in I noticed they have this really interesting thing where you have the commentator who's very energetic and he's describing every little thing that happens, but in those moments when there's a pause or he asks his color commentary guy to chip in and mention something, it's not just talking for the sake of talking. They always say something very illuminating, or they make a pop culture reference that hits the nail. I mean, right on the nail as far as what's going on the field. And like I was watching the Cape Verde match there in Spanish earlier today, and at one point they mentioned something about the team and some of the their journey from going from AFCON and all this and through the qualifying and everything, and then the color commentary guy starts singing one of the songs that's really popular in Cape Verde right now, and he was singing it spot on, and he was like this. Because they asked him, here, what song do you think the players are going to be blaring, in the locker room after the match? And he started singing it, and I'm like, how would you know that? That's really cool. You did your research, and it's really, really awesome. Um, it kind of, it kind of reminds me of how I heard that after one of the matches, and this I'm gonna get triggered here. I heard that the English fans started singing Wonderwall to the English players, and I mean, who did it first, right? Was it England or was it the Loons?
I think so. So the Loons, they came up with it sort of independently. I believe it was some sort of inside joke from the founding of the club. I knew the exact lore at some point, but I've forgotten it now. But I do know that there was a smaller team somewhere in England that also sings it after they win. But yeah, and now it feels like, because also in Minnesota we've got the Vikings who do Skol, which they took from an Icelandic football team or soccer team, and I don't know, it's not going to be our thing anymore. It's like, dang it.
No, see, but that's awesome though. It's like this big sharing of like culture and traditions, and we've seen the Norwegians, teaching people how to do the row at Times Square and everywhere they've been going. We saw the Scottish, drinking everybody dry and throwing traffic
How do you
cones on
drink
top of
Boston
everything.
Dry?
How do you drink Boston Dry, right?
It's crazy.
As a fourth generation Irish American, like, I have to see, like, Boston belongs to Scotland now, and I
know,
think
it's
we have
terrible.
to. Yeah, and New England, like, I'm sorry, you're New Scotland now, as far as I'm concerned.
No, by the way,
There
you
still is the
mentioned.
Massachusetts town that's all Irish immigrants, though. That is
But
like
they
more Ireland than parts of Ireland now.
No, but Ireland and Scotland, they got that partnership here, like,
I
stab the British,
mean,
right?
yeah, a little bit.
Um,
There's a
What do
lot
you
of
know?
history.
250 years later, England still struggles when they have to go get a result in Massachusetts.
yes, they do. I
Yeah,
heard that in the English broadcast, and then they were saying it almost the same time they were saying it in the Spanish broadcast. So I think that
so
everybody was
funny.
on the same wavelength or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, earlier you
yeah,
mentioned about Scotland and Boston, right? And it is true. They actually signed an ordinance that now, I think Scotland. I forgot what city. It might be Edinburgh or Glasgow. I'm sorry. It was Glasgow and Boston are now sister cities. So there you
nice.
go. It's a
Yeah,
wonderful thing. People are saying, hey, we got to do this every year. You got to have that sleepover every year where all the Scottish come over or all the Bostonians head over to Glasgow and just get blitzed by all the beer and just fun times. But
I gotta give shout out to Mom Donnie. Maybe he's not all the listeners' cup of tea, but uh, his soccer knowledge is incredible, and he's giving speeches about it. And he was talking about Socrates and his role in trying to change make electoral reform happen in Brazil in the 70s, and like how that spirit lives on till today, and the role that soccer players play in society, and what it means when you're this small nation and you win, and you see this incredible, right? If we think about it, the fact there's so many immigrants in this country, and we're supposed to be a nation of immigrants, and largely, sadly, our history doesn't reflect the fact that equality comes from that. It's all rhetoric. But when you look around, it's true. And there's people in this country that support all these different teams, and the fact that they're getting to see them is so much fun. And the fact that we have mayors from cities that have put on this World Cup celebrating different cultures, it just feels like such a great thing compared to where I feel like this country's been for the last X number of years.
All right, before we go on,
I'm the one who's always making it political. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Like I was telling people in one of our episodes leading up to the World Cup, we try to focus just on the sport, but sometimes it's impossible when like the politics creep their fingers and their tentacles into the sport we love so much, and you have to
I
address.
mean, look at
these
all the
issues.
visa issues.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, right? Like
Yeah.
the bond issues where the Cape Verde goalie's mom couldn't come because she had to pay a $15,000 bond when most countries had that waived, but for some reason they didn't. I think there's so many things here that have been done wrong, all the way back to when the Dignity 2026 coalition, we wrote the human rights reports and then had a whole thing set up for what had to be followed in the United States, and it made it all the way up to the vice president of FIFA approved, and then Gianni Infantino killed it. And why did he kill it? Because it was before they announced what was going on, or before Saudi Arabia got it. And if we have a human rights framework in the United States, Saudi Arabia would have to follow it, and they weren't going to allow that. So they quietly gave it to the cities afterwards and said, hey, you have to do this as an unfunded mandate. In Seattle, we're lucky. They had already been, shout out to Peter Tomazawa and everyone over at World Cup Seattle. They were already doing all this stuff. Boston went, we're not doing this if we don't get paid. I don't know what ended up happening in the end with them, but this has been a farce. And what I love that's come out of this is this World Cup isn't about FIFA. This World Cup is about the players, it's about the teams, as like the countries, and it's about the fans.
Yes, absolutely. Before we go on, I just want to address the super chat we have right here, because I looked it up. So,
Uh-oh.
Adam asks, Edgar, are the Gabriel Peck rumors true? We had heard some rumors leading.
That he's coming to
into
Seattle?
The World Cup. No, he's going to Minnesota. Please, he's taking over. He's taking over for James. There you go. Wouldn't that be great, huh?
The hole left in our hearts
Oh, I'm so sorry.
by his departure. The whole, maybe how many minutes did he play? His 2 goal contributions.
He looked really good against Seattle, though, when he came on. He changed the game. He changed the game when he came on against Seattle.
Oh yeah, he absolutely did have some really great contributions, and I really did enjoy having him here. It was really fun getting to see all the energy that brought to the team. I think a lot of folks were like, oh, this is just a sort of cash grab for jerseys, but I think that it was a much needed injection of energy and excitement in a team that had we were all kind of in mourning after losing Dane St. Clair, after losing Tani Oluwase. We needed something going into the season to get folks re-engaged, re-energized, and I think that he did exactly that. It was fun to watch him play, fun to see so many people excited about him being here. I did get his jersey. I figured, I got it even before he started for us, and I thought, okay, either he's incredible and it's good that I got his jersey, or he's kind of okay, and then 10 years down the line, it's just kind of funny to have that jersey. Like, hey, remember when that happened?
Hey, LA
Belgium is
had-
up 2-0 now, by the way. Belgium just scored a second goal, which puts them even with Egypt at the top. So I don't know. What happened to them
Kiwis.
head-to-head?
They drew, so it's on goal difference, in which I think
I think they're tied now.
poor Kiwis.
Mob had Egypt above.
Oh, are they?
had-
Okay.
The play score.
They're both on 5 points. They're both on +2 goal difference. They tied head-to-head, so then it would come down to goals for, which Egypt's on 5
Okay.
because they scored 3 against New Zealand.
Yeah. Or New
All right.
Zealand.
So to finish up the Gabriel Peck question, yes, actually Cruzeiro actually did make a bid for Gabriel Peck for around $8 million. Galaxy rejected the bid.
That seems real low.
Yeah, Galaxy bought him for about $10 million. So $8 million. Nah. I mean, he kind of hit a rough spot. He's starting to get back to form. So I think Galaxy expects them to improve, especially because we're gonna have this second half of the season and then the sprint season, and then it's kind of interesting. It's like we're talking about the hydration breaks. MLS is having hydration breaks right now. We have, this World Cup break, right? And then you have the winter break, and then you got the sprint season, and then you got like a little break, a spring break, and then straight into the next season. But apparently, Atletico de Madrid and Napoli have also expressed interest in Gabriel Peck. I'm like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. So something to keep an eye on for Galaxy fans. So,
God, I want him on Seattle. He's so he's the exact type of player that I've been wanting the Sounders to go after for 3 years now.
well, for now he's with us, unless his stock really goes up, in which point I think one of our colleagues would say, sell right away. So, Em, I have a question for you. Because I've seen how you do your makeup and you choose your outfits when you head out to these fan fests. Do you have any rituals on game day, or a favorite kit or a shirt that you wear when the U.S. is playing?
That's a good question. So I've been very into these USA glitter freckles. They're basically a temporary tattoo that you can put on your face. I think that's been very fun. In terms of kits, I have this vintage one, and then I have my Diego Luna stripes kit, which I did buy the second that those came out. I was so certain he was going to be in the squad. I did look a little goofy the day after the World Cup roster got leaked at the RSL. They were here in Minneapolis and St. Paul, sitting there with my jersey, watching, hoping that he would come off that bus because we had not seen him traveling. He did not. That was okay. I did almost ask Xavier Gozo to sign it anyways. I decided that would be a little weird. But anyways, yeah, so those are, I think I love those two kits very much. But otherwise, I think in terms of rituals, it's just kind of dragging as many friends as I can out to go watch the matches with me, or finding other folks to watch. Because World Cup, I've been big on not watching the matches alone at home if I can avoid it. Just being in all that energy, having other folks cheering too. It's just so much fun sharing that with other fans.
What about you?
That's Matt. How are you? You get paid to do this, in theory. In theory. In theory. I know how the ecosystem works. How do you handle it? Because it is a job for you. You're working.
Mm-hmm.
I can't work right now. I am. I have to have the game on and I'm too distracted, or I have to go to a doctor's appointment. I'm driving and I have the game on in my car on my phone, just going through the speakers, listening to it. It's taken over my life. There's nothing I can do right now, I feel like. So I'd love to hear what it's been for you then when you're not covering games.
Yeah, remember the part where I said I haven't slept in like 4 weeks? So I think Matt Doyle had a really good line on Extra Time. This could have been a decade ago for all I remember, where he was asked about supporting New York Red Bulls, and I think this was in the context of Mark Fishkin from Seeing Red talking about the concept of supporter reporters and how does that manifest, or how is that approached. And he said that basically his fandom that was at one point centered around the Metro Stars morphed into what he has done professionally, and obviously he was at MLS Soccer at the time. Most listeners of this will know what he's doing now independently with Tactics Free Zone. So I would say that's just morphed. Whatever rituals I had from a fandom or a watching standpoint has now turned into my media process, which for Rapids games is fairly regimented. Obviously, World Cup's kind of been all over the place, but had some structure, some plan to it in terms of what time do I want to be in the press box, given how late in the day the game is, what am I doing before then, fighting LA traffic, being a part of the biggest march to the match, maybe in Seattle, soccer history. And from there, I'm very sartorial. I'm very dressed up. I had a suit and a red bow tie. I contemplated busting out the suspenders I had that at one point had a 12-game unbeaten run when I wore them in the press box at Dick's a few years ago. So that has morphed into a certain way. Now, on the plane, where I obviously don't want to wear my press box clothes because those could get sweaty and gross with, beer fights in a seat or whatever, I'm wearing a jersey or something like that, so I'm repping. But just whatever fandom I had in that has turned into what I do from a media standpoint. And I will say on the vlogs that I have on Burgundy Waves YouTube channel, like regularly, there's still outbursts of reaction. There was a noticeable cheer when Paraguay scored their goal from all of the Spanish-speaking media. I covered the 2015 CONCACAF Cup because they were the U.S. had won one Gold Cup that cycle, Mexico had won the other, and they needed a game to face off to determine who was going to Confederations Cup. And they made a very big deal in the Rose Bowl about this is a professional environment, this is a working environment, do not react. And after every single Mexico goal, they had to get on the press box speaker and say in Spanish, we're all professionals here, we're technically all objective, don't react to anything going on the field. Did not have to do that for the 2 U.S. goals in that 3-2 victory for El Tri, I should point out. But yeah, like there's a part of me that has allowed myself when there's been a lull, something going on. And I said this to Spencer, my intern, as well. I said, Spencer, I give you permission, as long as it's not like a corner or somebody's drawn a penalty in ballistics about to score, like put the camera down at some point during the game and just enjoy it for 3 minutes, because you're on the sideline behind the stanchion board. There's a real possibility you've got the best seat in the house that's not the referee cam. Enjoy it and just like have that core memory. And I've allowed myself to do that in the 3 games that I've covered. And even though I was in the press box, which is very muffled, the chills I got from how loud Country Road was, or the nostalgia I felt watching the teams walk out in Seattle, and I'm like, wait, there's no way. Like, they're not trying to be Jordan's Bulls right now, and just the aura that had with that. Yeah. So I've still enjoyed that, and the fact that I've been able to do that and speak to 3 of the 4 Rapids players post-game who are in this tournament and have a very Rapids-focused thing, like that's me, Cameron, that's me giving back, that's me honoring the space I have, that's me doing right by the fact that I haven't paid thousands of dollars in tickets to go to these 4 games, and I have a role and an obligation to uphold this system that has given me this privilege and this opportunity. So to quote Sean Dyche, or was it, I can't remember which English manager, who said, enjoy it by being disciplined, has been one of my mantras, with the exception of that 5-minute moment of just, I'm going to put the laptop down and I'm just going to enjoy the fact that I'm covering my home country in a World Cup, and there's a former Rapids player who knows me by first name, who I have his phone number, who, gave me the thumbs up when I said, good luck tonight if you play today. And I'm just going to enjoy this moment. And this is going to be one of the things that I remember sitting there on my deathbed watching Tim Ream lift the World Cup in 30 years, 60 years. Him and DeMarcus Beasley Jr.
So let me share with you guys, because I mentioned earlier, I've been collecting kits for a really, really long time. So here's a 1992 USA kit.
Ooh.
That old logo. It's so good.
And this is one I have from '94. This is the one, the player issue.
It's got the US logo. It's got the real thing. That's what I don't like about the new Adidas one.
Not the knockoff I got.
Yeah. So this is '94. I have the stripes one as well, but I wanted to show you guys. This is the player issue one.
Ooh.
With Kobe Jones. This one they wore, I think, in the Gold Cup that year, I think. So yeah, this is.
I just had a memory of, I didn't realize I'd seen USA and Australia play before in my brain, but I had at Spartan Stadium in San Jose when Kobe Jones was on the team, and he and an Australian player slid it at the same time, and the Australian player's leg broke in half, and you could hear a snap in the crowd. But
thanks for
terrible. That had to be like 99, maybe 99, somewhere in there. I don't know the exact year.
That's your Kobe Jones memory?
Yeah.
My God. Okay. And this is.
I mean, watching him. Oh, that's a beautiful one.
This is a player issue World Cup '98 jersey, and it's Waldo. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, I have like an extensive collection, but this one, I have an extensive collection. I wanted to share some of them because I haven't bought any of the new ones. Just I don't have the money to spend. I have a 200 or whatever, how much they cost right now. But I do have this nice collection of other ones that I've been wearing them, a different one every day, and people are like, wow, what player is this? Or hey, what year is that one?
I will say, wearing different jerseys. I mean, people in Seattle are wearing all sorts of jerseys. I've been wearing my Ireland Parrot jersey because I was hoping that they would make the World Cup. Being a Collins and a Murphy and being related to Michael Collins, the big fella who, he was right and Eamon de Valera was wrong. But if we talk about the history of Ireland, we won't go there. But the founder of the original Irish Republican Army, just wearing different jerseys around, everyone, what jersey is that? What team is that? Like, it doesn't matter. People are interested, random people who don't even like soccer. Dudes who are like football bros, meaning American football bros, coming up and talking about, a random jersey that I'm wearing. Granted, I maybe shouldn't say this online. If you're listening, FBI or CIA or Customs, don't. You can get all of them from China that are pretty much identical, and they cost $20. And because I can't afford a $200 jersey right now either. But I can't afford a $20 one that's going to take 3 months to get here, which is why my rolled on is number 6 instead of 15, because that was his number before the World Cup.
It's fascinating. So I have friends across Europe, right? And I've been asking them, hey, have you been able to get your team's kit, World Cup kit? And my buddy in France is like, no, they're all sold out. I couldn't get one. I was like, and I asked him, how much are they? He's like, oh, it's I think he mentioned it was like 93 euros or something like that. I was like, okay, that's not too bad. So I asked our buddy Nathan up in Canada, hey Nathan, how much are the Canada kids? And he's like, man, they're like, they're about 200, Canadian. I'm like, dear God, that's a lot.
That's only like $6 American, isn't it?
or a 12-pack of Timmy's, right? Or a box of Timbits there. But I asked, and then I went to the store and I looked at the U.S. ones. I'm like, dear God, they're like 155 to 200 and whatever. Like, that's a lot. That Stars kit that I just showed you, I bought that for $60 back during World Cup '94, which I checked for inflation. It comes out to like $90 nowadays.
Yeah.
Now, so I asked my buddy in England, a friend that lives in Southampton, like, hey, how much are those England kits? And he's like, oh, he goes, they sell them over here for 80 pounds. Like, are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, the authentic player ones, 80 pounds. I'm like, well, what are we doing wrong? That they're getting their kits for like so dirt cheap compared to us.
They probably sell more, and so they produce. It lowers the price. This is the reason why minor league kits are always so much more expensive than professional kits, because they have to print less.
Yeah. All right, folks. Another question for y'all, because we mentioned it. We've been watching all the stuff on social
Belgium
media.
scored again, by the way. It's 3-0, and they are now first in the group.
Poor Kiwis.
They should have put Michael Boxall in. If
Michael Boxall and Tommy Smith in its center back, and New Zealand does not concede a goal this World Cup. No Finn Surnam in here.
Oh man, I was hoping the Kiwis would do something, but
yeah.
Wow.
I went when I was 6 years old. I haven't been there since, but I have friends from New Zealand, and I love that place.
Man, you've been in Middle Earth? That's pretty awesome, dude.
My mom was a flight attendant, so I was lucky that we had to fly standby, which meant last people on and had to wear Sunday's best clothes. But I got to fly all over the world as a kid, different places.
That's pretty sick, man.
Yeah.
So here's my question. I'm gonna ask Em first. Thanks to social media, people from across Mexico, the U.S., and Canada have shared incredible moments of fans interacting. What are some of your favorites?
I think my favorites have to be one of those, definitely everyone from across the world discovering Buc-ee's. My family.
Yes.
I've lived in Minnesota pretty much my entire life, but all my family lives in the South. My siblings go to school in the South, so I'm down there pretty frequently. We always make a point of going to Buc-ee's whenever we can. So seeing all these people from all over the world getting to experience Buc-ee's for the first time has been very fun. I do have a Buc-ee's soccer jersey that I've been wearing when I'm going to watch a game that I don't have the kit, and it's red and white, so it can kind of fit for a couple different teams. I then think, kind of on that same vein, all the Japanese fans in Houston in particular, talking about how big Texas is and just having so much fun with the reporters. And I love seeing the reporters in particular who will interview them and get really into it themselves. it's so great. I think that's been my favorite.
What about you, Cameron?
I mean, just the stories of people celebrating. I mean, I saw one today where a woman had been in the Peace Corps, and she went to Cape Verde and had taught English there. So she decided to go to a watch party. And so she went there and she didn't know anyone, but she started talking to the guy that put it on. And it turned out he was one of her students. And when he found out, they hugged and they both cried. And then he called all his friends back home, sent the pictures. And she was in this little town in the middle of nowhere. And and there they are, both in San Francisco at this watch party. I mean, stuff like that. But my favorite all time, we'll get away from the sappy thing, was when Brad Pitt and Ed Norton were together, and it was like Edward Norton's talking to himself.
Yes, he is.
With the Fight Club reference. That everyone seemed to make that at the same time. That was my favorite meme that came out of it. But there's been so much heartfelt, just awesome stories. You know, all the videos of the kids who didn't think they were going to get to go, and then their parents surprise them with tickets, and they get to go to a game. And you know, it's been really. I mean, just even sitting in the stands. This isn't online, but you know, at the Bosnia match, the guy sitting next to me was one of the head ticket people for the Loons. So like he had come down and went to the USA match and stuck around for that. You know, just meeting people from all over, and they all have their own stories that they're putting on the internet. And it's just been so fun to be around people from all over and hear their stories, and then see what my city looks like right now. Where, you know, I just saw right now the White House is talking about how amazing Seattle looks. What? We were the anarchist jurisdiction that they spent 4 years shit talking. Excuse my language, but like, and the White House official account said that this is why America should host the World Cup, and it's just like, what is happening?
Yeah, but in the middle of all this, there was something that did happen at the White House, and it's just been slowly swept under the rug because nobody really cared, really.
The UFC fight?
Oh yeah, that thing, you know, whatever that was. So it was like some kind of like weird episode or like a little sequel from Idiocracy that really did manifest. And God, what kind of world are we living in? Anyway, yeah, Matt. What are some of your favorite incredible moments that we've seen that have gone viral?
The two best romances of 2026 are Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov from Heated Rivalries, and number two are the Tartan Army and traffic cones on statues. I think just the pure joy that they have, and I think the fact that like you meet any one individual Scottish person and like they're very dour, they're very sad, but you get all of them together all on holiday, and it just everything turns into a lad's trip. So, you know, and I mean, there's a million of these stories, but I think just like the at scale what Scotland was able to do and had all of these funny moments. And I have a few friends that live in the Boston area, and they just described it as like it's going outside and it's just a party every single day, and it's positive. And if I'm there with my kids, like they know, like if they're drinking to like keep it down or whatever, there's no profanity. And it's just you know, not since we're kind of, you know, breaking the fourth wall in terms of politics and everything, like, you know, as someone who at one point was in the manosphere and like very deeply like looking at like red pill and black pill stuff, to see just like the positive masculinity of like sense of community and being there and looking after each other and just like being there and being positive and just like human beings, normal everyday human being, going out into the world, experiencing new cultures, celebrating their own cultures, touching grass, and just being kind to each other and talking about soccer. Like this is like Ted Lasso at scale of a country and millions of people. That's what's happening. And no matter how grumpy Roy Kent is or the violent, crazy thoughts that he has in his brain, he's going to be nice to everybody. And he's going to say, I appreciate you when he bumps into somebody and the Scot says, you know, sorry, mate. So that's just been a wonderful thing for me to experience and see afar. And then again, like to show up as media or whatever, and then talk to a bunch of Aussies and be like, oh, like you're wearing a backpack and you're kind of professionally dressed. Like, were you at the game? And like to explain that I'm media, and then they're, oh, where are you from? So then I get to explain that I cover the Rapids. Then we talk about Lucas Harrington, and then 10 minutes later, Pablo Maurer is taking a picture of me with my phone with the giant kangaroo chugging a beer or whatever. Like, and every single person who, again, stepped outside their house in Seattle last Friday had that experience. And, you know, I highlighted, you know, 30,000 Scottish people, like, deciding that traffic cones on statues were a thing of silliness that they were going to engage in. But there's a million stories right now that we will never hear, that we don't need to hear. And it's, you know, a KU student and a random Algeria fan. It's, you know, Freddie, the German guy, going and then having his phone. But there's a million other little stories, like you mentioned, Cameron, with Cape Verde, that we're never going to know, but it's your own personal experience. And I care way more about that than I would care more about having the equivalent experience to being that Peace Corps volunteer who meets their former student at the Cape Verde watch party and having that genuine moment than doing something for the lulz and going viral. And I'm so happy that so many people have had that. And we're never going to know those stories, but each one individually is going to have that experience. And I think that's really what the World Cup's about. It's about average people, normal people, going out, touching grass, being kind to each other, and celebrating their communities.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a video. Real quick, I just saw a video yesterday of a kid who saved his allowance for an entire year so he could buy his dad a Mexico jersey, and it was like an authentic. It was an authentic one, and just like, how cool! I mean, it's so much bigger than just, you know, the $500 ticket I paid for the USA. Thankfully, the other ones were much cheaper, but the $9 Coke Zero, the $16 Paloma, or whatever, you know, like the $8 vegan hot dog I've had. Like, I'm still from Seattle, so it's these connections that people are making, and it's incredible. I wish more people could experience it in the stadium, but at least in these host cities, I love the fact that people are, and where the teams are staying, because, you know, like Egypt's in Spokane, Washington. There's people all over in small towns where you're thinking, well, why would they go there? Well, they're creating community in those small towns, and it's pretty incredible. It's just so cool.
I love how like Scotland showed up to Boston, right, and all the fans are having a good time, and then the English show up to Florida and they have an earthquake. It's like what? that never quakes there. But out here in LA,
sending English people to Florida, that's too hot there.
no, they will melt, man, and they're having like a heat wave over there, and I think it's like 80 degrees Fahrenheit over there for them, and to them they're like, oh, we're dying over here, lad. It's like, hey,
80 degrees a regular day in LA.
Yeah, right. No, no. That as far as LA is concerned, like I said, I've been kind of limited to my little corner of the county. You know, I have work, and I have my family, so I'm not going into the city as much as I did when I was younger. But from what I've seen around LA, as a Galaxy fan, as a supporter, we have our supporters groups, which are a great mix of the different cultures that we have across LA. So it's like a petri dish of what we have out here in Los Angeles. But now, with the World Cup, we're seeing this at a grander scale. And like I said, there isn't one specific location where people are going. I mean, aside from the Coliseum, which is in LA center, but there's different pockets like Koreatown, Little Tokyo. They have their own little watch parties. There's the Galaxy Watch Party, which is down in Long Beach. There's another one in Manhattan Beach. So they're all over the place, and you start hearing about stuff that's going on, and just something that made me laugh. Apparently, there was a game. There was like the Mexico versus South Korea, game going on, and somebody showed up. And I don't know if you guys heard this one, but somebody showed up and said, we're gonna call ICE on you, to the Mexican supporters, and a bunch of Korean guys came up and beat up the guy and sent him running.
Good.
I mean, it's like,
Incredible.
what? That's awesome. They stood up
Yeah.
for him, and that's LA. And so the one thing that I was gonna get to is that no matter where you go across the city, no matter who's playing that day, there's gonna be a bunch of people there that are from that country, those two countries. And what's awesome is that you have all these other people from different cultures, different ethnicities, different religious, followings, and they're there to support these people's teams, even though they don't have any kind of connection to them. They're just there to support their friends, their neighbors, the people they care about. Just because the spirit of the World Cup, and that's something that I've seen across LA, and I think it's amazing. Like today, I was telling somebody I saw a group. I was working at a train station out here in this area, and I saw a group of people heading to a fan fest, and it was like it was an Asian family, and they were wearing Paraguay jerseys, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, I understand there's an Asian diaspora, right, and they might have got to Paraguay, but I was like, wow, they're there support Paraguay, and I saw a gentleman wearing a Tunisia kit, and he didn't look like he was from Tunisia, but he was wearing a Tunisia kit, and a bunch of people were wearing Mexico kits, and I was like, wow, this is cool. Everybody is just getting into this big party and celebrating each other, and that's the way it should always be, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Except for when it comes to the final.
Oh my God, no, the final's just tense.
Yeah, no, I mean, even I just won my pub league final, and we were the friendliest team, and by the end, it was very serious. I did make a World League goal, my first goal ever, before I then got hit with the ball and dislocated my thumb. But it's funny how much more I've enjoyed games than aren't the USA game. Like being at the USA game with my mom was such an amazing experience, but I was so invested in the outcome. Versus the other games, I can just go enjoy it. I can just go have fun. I can, meet people from other countries, other places, and spend time enjoying the moment. And it's funny because usually I root for the underdog. I think Qatar was probably the underdog, but there's something about, I don't know, the last World Cup, the fact that they only have one actual Qatari on their team. Not that I'm not talking about immigrants. They nationalize people just to become on the team, right? It's obviously, I think 25% of all of the World Cup players were not born in the country that they play for, which is incredible. It goes to show you how in all these countries, I mean, we won't go through the history of colonialism and all that kind of stuff, but in all these countries, there's people that are accepted into the national team. Now, there's been people like Ozil in Germany who left because he was from Turkey, born in Turkey, and he faced a lot of racism because of that. And so those things exist. But I think from the people-to-people perspective, yeah, it's just been incredible the way people support, and it has been such a positive experience that is completely turned 180 from what I felt coming into this. Being unable to get tickets to a lot of games, then I got lucky. The first game I was given a ticket to, and the only reason I got to go to the USA game was because we had the Club World Cup in Seattle. It was supposed to be an East Coast tournament. We ended up getting a couple games in the West Coast, and if you bought 2 tickets to 2 games for the Club World Cup, you were guaranteed a chance to buy 2 tickets to 1 World Cup match, except for the final. Now maybe I should have bought that ticket for the round of 16 game, but I bought the 2 for the USA match, and because that had been my goal to go see the USA with my dad for decades in the World Cup. And so here they are in my city with a chance to do it. And I feel really lucky because, like I said, I paid $500 a ticket for those tickets. By the time they were on the public on sale, they were upwards of $1,000, and they were going for $1,500 to $2,000 on the aftermarket. And I'm sure even more the day of. Like, there's no way I would have been able to go to that game. I saved up for a year for those tickets because I knew I was going to have to spend a ton of money. And then my tickets to Bosnia were like $150 each. That's reasonable for a World Cup match. That's why I couldn't go tonight because I couldn't pay that much. But being able to, my Seahawk tickets that I sell every game now because I can't afford them anymore are $150 per ticket, right? Like, that's in the United States. Unfortunately, that's a reasonable price.
Dear God, you said 150. I tried looking for tickets to the game on Saturday between Canada and South Korea, and I think a lot of, Canada and South Africa. A lot of Koreans out here in LA thought that South Korea was going to be there against Canada, and the stadium, I think they had bought a ton of seats, right? And they're just dumping all the seats now, and I tried looking them up, and the cheapest one was like $800. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah,
for
it was
nosebleeds,
because
that's so
I
fun.
won one of the lotteries. I won one of the lotteries to get that Bosnia ticket. I think it was like the second or third. If you didn't get one of the early lotteries, the FIFA just kept jacking up the price. And let's not
Yeah.
forget, for every other event they usually do, oh, New Zealand just scored. For every other event they usually do, there was a max that you could sell it for, and FIFA got their
And then
10% or
Belgium
whatever.
again.
Oh, yeah. But then, but this World Cup, they realized they could make more money if they got rid of the ceiling on tickets and they let it go up. Because if this ticket sold for more, then FIFA makes more money from the 10% or whatever they take from the resale. Shout out to Toronto for banning scalping. That would, of course, never happen here. But too many of the tickets went to ticket brokers and not into the hands of the people. But I will say the experience in the stadium, I'm unfortunately seeing a lot of empty seats in Seattle right now. In the 100 level, the expensive seats on TV. But shout out to the fact that most of the people in the stadium I felt like were average people. I don't know, like they were people, and they were people from the city. There's people from all over, but there was a lot of people from Seattle inside that USA match. I saw a bunch of people I knew, so it was really cool.
Okay, for my friends, I have some quick fire questions for y'all. So give me your quick answer, and here we go. Starting with M. Besides our teams, USA, Canada, Mexico, CONCACAF, whatever, which teams have you been cheering for the most?
Certainly New Zealand for Michael Boxall. I gotta, Loon's captain, cheering for him. I think also Panama as well. I'm Loon's pilled, cheering for my country, Minnesota. So Panama for Carlos Harvey and New Zealand for Michael Boxall, and then Colombia for James, because we still technically get to claim him.
There you go. Cameron?
Underdogs, always the underdogs, except for France, which is the opposite of an underdog. But I did live in Paris and have a degree in French. And, I don't know why I haven't been watching French broadcasts. Earlier, talking about the Spanish broadcast, like, what am I doing? I should switch over from the American broadcast to the French broadcast. But outside of France, which of course and I know there's a lot of Messi fatigue. I get it. But as I don't know, we're all Western Conference teams, so maybe we don't have it as much as some of the Eastern Conference teams because they seem to have it really bad, the Messi fatigue with Miami FC and all that. Watching him play has been a real joy in this World Cup, and just what he's been able to do. And a lot of the knocks on him, and he doesn't hustle. When you're seeing him out there hustling, you're seeing him out there doing stuff that maybe he doesn't do as much in club play because there's this extra. I mean, he knows it's his last one probably, unless he gets some robot parts. But Cape Verde, obviously, I was rooting for Curacao. My team that I drew in my World Cup draw was Bosnia. So now I'm in this weird position. They're not going to win the whole thing, so obviously I got to root for the USA. But it was cool being able to go to a game and watch the team that I randomly was the last time I got Nigeria. I did it, and they didn't do very well in that tournament. But anytime it's an underdog, I'm rooting for them. People have said it was a mistake to move to this many teams. I was very critical of the move in the beginning. Yep, that's correct. It's wrong. It was wrong. Seeing these small nations, what it's done for them. I mean, Haiti, I am the vice president of a nonprofit that does work in Haiti. I don't think I've ever talked about this on this show, that we build wells to get rid of cholera in northern Haiti and Ranquit. And we've built houses there. We feed all the kids in town. We were in the process of building a soccer field. Anything they ask for, we try to raise money for it. And then COVID happened, and we haven't been able to get back in country, and the president was assassinated. So it's been a rough time. But obviously, I was rooting for Haiti. And when they had their first ever World Cup goal, and just to see the joy from the people was so incredible. So all the underdogs, all these nations that have never been here before or haven't been here in so long, DR Congo, and with the fan who Lumumba, it's there's a lot of awfulness going on in the Congo, right, in DR Congo right now, and I say that because people don't realize there is another Congo as well. So it's just really cool to see, and being in Seattle, Iran being here, and watching their fans while the United States is at war with this country, and yet they're being warmly welcomed here, and there's a huge Iranian diaspora in the United States. I mean, in LA especially, it's huge. Like, it's just so cool to see people come together and show that it's not about politics and war and stuff like that. It's about coming together as people.
Yeah, yeah. I think I know a couple of people that I think one of our co-hosts went to a match with Iran, and I saw photos of people and USA kids hanging out with with the Iranian fans, and
Yeah.
it was just all mutual respect and understanding for each other, and that's something that was beautiful. I wish we. That's why I said global leaders are not represent the rest of us, because
Yeah.
everybody just wants to get along. I think.
I
Matt,
mean, my friend Miriam, my friend Miriam, I just forgot about this, got to go down to Bay Area to see Jordan play, and her father moved to Jordan when he had to flee Palestine. And, to have that pride for a country, because she's not able to have that pride for her father's original home because it doesn't really exist anymore. Like, it's just so cool that she had, you know what I mean? Like, it's just this experience where people are connecting with like, her dad's been dead for years, and yet she got to have this special experience and go root for a team he would have rooted for, and connect with her dad in a way that she wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't in the United States.
all right, Matt, what you got for me, man?
Well, you named pretty much every single country in this one, so I don't think there's anything left for me to say.
Scotland.
Retweet on all this stuff with Dr. Congo. Cameron, it's funny you mentioned that. So I'm a volunteer with Engineers Without Borders, and my project is in Tanzania. That's how they say it. And 2 years ago, we went into the bush and found a primary school, and we built a girls' bathroom there. And we're hopefully going back in 2027 to build a teacher's office for them as well. Tanzania has never been to a World Cup. If Tanzania ever goes to a World Cup, my two teams in this order are the United States and the Toffee Stars. So I've gotten into African football for that. I passively followed, AFCON, and anytime they had the African Cup of Nations, and Fulham has a number of Nigerians, and Colorado has had a number of Ghanaians on the team before. So I had some peripheral knowledge, was very much into the competition this year.
And Georgie played for Burkina Faso.
Burkina Faso as well, yes. So obviously without Tanzania, there's kind of one for me to glom on to. And if I just look at like the colors, political issues, kind of in the same tier of what they had to deal with in terms of colonialism in the 1700s, right through the end of World War I. And then obviously Mumumba Via makes it super easy to root for them. So they've absolutely been a vibe. And then after that, I would say the teams that have Rapids players on them, I want to see them succeed. So it was such a joy to be able to cover Austin Trusty's World Cup debut. Obviously, he scored the goal last night. His ankle's okay, hopefully. Moise Bombito barely makes the roster for Canada. He's able to sub on in the Qatar game. Super happy for him as well. He deserves it. He's the best center back fully healthy that I think Canada has ever had. Tommy Smith is moments away from being eliminated as an unused sub, but he and Chris Wood are the only two players left over from 2010, and he captained the team in South Africa, and I'm sure he still feels like he has a role on this team, even if he's a much worse center back than Michael Boxall. And to see all the joy given, I got to cover a game in Australia. I got to cover Lucas Harrington. I got to talk to Australia fans. They played the United States, to see what Lucas Harrington has done. And one day I think it's going to be not long before I think Lucas Harrington is sold and probably playing Champions League games somewhere, and I'll be able to say, hey, I knew who that guy was before you knew who he was and thought he was a big deal. And there's a couple of Brisbane Roar fans who can beat me on that, but I'm near the front of the Lucas Harrington train. And the fact that I've been able to do that with Tommy Smith, Austin Trusty going to Europe, all this stuff. Something happened? Something happened?
Oh,
Iran!
Iran just scored the winner in the 93rd minute.
No way.
Oh my god.
What is it? Does that put them in second, or does that put Egypt still in second, but Iran will go through?
I gotta pull up. I got this.
Oh my gosh.
Table right
Incredible.
here. Iran's ahead on points. Iran's ahead on points.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
My husband is Iranian, so he's gonna be very happy.
Wait, is this set up? Does this mean the U.S. would have to run into Iran if they both win the round of 32?
Yes,
Oh my
I think
God.
it does.
This is a.
That might be. There's a few different scenarios based on what happened in other games, but that was a definite possibility.
Oh right, because wait, no, they would finish second in here. So
Yeah,
there
no,
wouldn't
you're
be
right,
the. Okay, I'd have to look at the bracket again.
Yeah.
Oh my god! And this is the
Because
first
there's
time
also
they
a
get
route
out of
where
the
we could have
group.
done Bosnia, then Cape Verde. I think it was like we could have gone through without having to play a top team. But oh my god! And then he just took sunglasses from the crowd, and oh my gosh,
Vibes.
this is
Vibes.
wow.
This is why we love the World Cup, folks.
I mean, this is. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're an Egyptian fan, I'm sorry. The Egyptian fans were so amazing at that first match against Belgium. There were so many there. But this is what makes the World Cup great. And, you know, I think about, like, I got to go to the Egypt-Belgium match with my best friend and her 11-year-old son and her ex-husband. We all went together. And, you know, the 11-year-old I have been doing one of the Panini sticker books, right? And just like this, the way he's experiencing the World Cup and getting to, you know, getting to go to a game in person and is living through seeing the players on the sticker book and then seeing them on the field, and like it's just been so much fun. And this is everything. Oh wow, just ricocheting everywhere, goalie mistake. This is why you all watch / listen to this podcast, right? Like we are live breaking news. There's still a minute and a half left. Oh, went to VIR, but that's a goal. It's a goal. I'm not.
No, he's onside. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, my friends, let's continue with my quickfire questions, by the way.
Yeah, what were we doing? What was
These are quick fire, so because we're running a little bit late and we want to get you guys to bed, especially because I know it's a little later,
yes,
you know,
I know.
up north, you know, where the aurora hangs out. So
you know how bright it is here?
Dude, it's like 9 p.m. and the sun's still out, man.
Yeah, the sun's up till 10 here, so.
Yeah. So real quick, what's been your favorite tradition from visiting supporters?
Oh man.
Oh wow. Oh,
Think about those.
I mean, I hate this is going to be political, but the Bosnian fans chanting for Palestine. Like you don't see other teams aren't doing that, you know. But there's a large Muslim population in Bosnia, and for them to support the genocide that they're going through is really cool. Not, you know what I mean? I worded that weird, but you know what I'm saying. And just after the game, there was an Aussie fan that did a shoey, got up on someone's shoulder, took off his gross sweaty shoe, poured his beer in it, and chugged the whole thing, Daniel Ricciardo style. Like, super fun.
All right, and what you got for me?
Oh gosh. Nat, if you have something, you go first. I gotta think still. I'm racking my brain to think about all the fields I've seen.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, almost scored again.
No, it's got to be the Norwegian. I think when you tie in something that is fun, that is interactive, that works in a soccer context and has like such a deep like existence to your history and everything, that checks all the boxes for me. And of course,
they took away the goal.
No.
Oh,
Controversy.
Iran.
No.
It had to have been offside more in the build-up because the guy who scored was on.
Oh! Amazing. Oh, they almost got the header in the 97th minute.
Oh man, there was a phone call that came in from DC. That's what happened.
Oh, off the crossbar. Oh, inches away from winning. Oh. See, this is why we love the sport, right?
My God.
I saw some Americans complaining about the fact, the score was 3-2. I'm like, that was 21-14, man. Like, that's 3 touchdowns to 2 touchdowns. What are you whining about? Yeah, that's a little low scoring. That's not that bad. Oh my gosh, look at, he's off by a toe.
Oh my God.
Whoa.
It's his pinky. Not even like it's the outside of his boot. I don't think like there's an actual cell in his body that's off. It's that close.
Wow.
Anyway,
I'm at 7 minutes and 45 seconds into stoppage time. I don't know if it's, and it was only given 6 minutes.
I'm like 5 seconds ahead of you, so not much.
Cameron,
it's still going.
You can only root for your country in the World Cup. 4 random strangers in different time zones, like entirely invested in this dead rubber that does not affect the United States.
I will say the funny thing about the rowing though was that the Scottish people were doing that with the Norwegian fans, and I was like, where do you think Norway is rowing to? They're going to take over Scotland. What are you doing?
They're blasting
didn't war in Ireland,
some
to
Led
be fair.
Zeppelin, right?
That's
A
true.
little immigrant song heading over there. All right,
Oh.
and what you got for me?
I think the Croatian flag, the incredibly
yeah.
long, it was like 1,000 meters or something that I know they're just doing their march through Philly.
Yeah, our buddy Jimmy, he covers Philadelphia Union. He's been
Yeah, I've been
he also
seeing
got
all his
credentialed.
about it.
Yeah, Jimmy is awesome. We're hoping to have him on Sunday, by the way, because I'm gonna continue having different people come in
it's
and
over.
share. But Jimmy posted earlier how this Croatian flag is the length of a football field, and they bring it with them as they march to the stadium. That's insane.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Bosnia brought the largest, was it largest coffee pot in the world or largest coffee
Yeah.
mug in the world? Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
that
see
was that was really cool. I was thinking about how the heck did they get that across the
They
U.S.
had
Like,
shit or something.
They just built it here from parts that they found across the country. Assemble it. All right. Another quick fire question for y'all. You can only pick one. Which team do you think has the best kit? Who wants to go first?
Dr. Congo, it's not even close.
He's a good kid.
Okay. That's a nice one.
He's a good kid.
I like how they showed up with they're coming to America style to the airport. Oh my God. Ooh, that was beautiful.
I'm going the purple Korea kits.
that was gonna be my answer too. I think those
I
ones
really
are so
like those.
cool.
Yeah.
And I love the collar. The way that the collar looks on those is a really nice touch.
Yeah, poor. Their federation is a mess right now. But incredible experience for all the people that got to go to the match for South Korea. The matches, despite them not going through.
All right, and what you got?
I think that purple Korea kit I think was my first answer. There's also the sort of light yellow Curacao kit that we didn't actually get to see,
Yes.
unfortunately. That was also beautiful, and I think I will be looking to cop one of those.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's the one I was gonna say.
Canada, South Africa on Sunday. South Africa has not worn the green kits yet. That has to be Canada red versus South Africa green so that we can see that.
Yeah.
Fun fact, England never wore red at the 2018 World Cup despite making the quarterfinal.
Huh.
They wore their secondary white kit in every single game. That's treason, FIFA.
All right.
At
What-
least
what's your
their jersey rules have to be better than MLS's light dark rules, where we ended up with light green Sounders versus dark green Portland Timbers on a green field.
All right, Matt. Did you mention your favorite kit? I mean, which team you think has the best one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you said DR Congo, right?
DR
Okay.
Congo.
Okay, next question. Which player do you think has had the most standout performance so far?
Shout out to the Cape Verde goalie.
Vizinha?
He went from what 20,000 followers to millions, and then decided to
Yeah.
follow 2,000 women on Instagram. He was busy just
You got that dog again.
yeah, and he's 40, so shout out.
Yeah, yeah, Vizinha's one of them. I mean, it's funny. Before the tournament started, I mentioned on one of our shows, I wonder, how many MLS executives are looking at all the CONCACAF teams coming in, like Curacao, and Panama, right? And they're like, okay, let's start scouting these guys, right? But then you have all these other nations, right, that have these players that are going to have, like, a wonderful experience or a wonderful performance, and then they're going to be like, that's the guy that we need right there. Because I know
mean, it
LA
works.
Galaxy, that's how we ended up with Birchall from Trinidad and Tobago. He had that one fantastic game, and somebody in LA Galaxy said, we need Birchall with the LA Galaxy. And he came over and he helped us win a cup. So,
Yeah, the Gold Cup has done the same thing for people like Kevin Parsaman, who used to play for the Sounders and then moved on and was able and just had a solid Gold Cup and then was picked up. And you see, I mean, Raul Ruiz, after his performance in Russia for Peru, was immediately signed by the Sounders right afterwards. So you will see players at this cup they're doing great, and so that's what I like are those stories more than Mbappe's doing awesome, Messi's doing awesome, like that's cool. Olise is incredible, maybe the best player of this World Cup, just fantastic. But that's not as interesting to me as some of these players that we've never heard of that are showing up and showing out.
Matt, you got anybody?
I mean, Messi, his first hat trick. It's him or Mbappe that's going to finish the World Cup with the most World Cup goals. That's kind of a cop-out answer, though, to be fair. Florian Balogun's been really fun for the United States, obviously. I echo all of the 40-year-old goalkeepers who have just a one-off worldie and then now have more Instagram followers than Patrick Mahomes. Like, to all of the NFL pros that are like, nobody watches soccer. Like, I'm sorry, this World Cup final is going to do 10x of what the Super Bowl does. So, super happy for that. That's all I got. My brain is mush.
What's the name of the player from Spain? The starting forward. I can never say his name because they have the list when they speak in Spanish.
Lamine Yamal?
No, he starts with an O. He for him to come from a backup to now scoring in the World Cup has been pretty cool. Oyarzabal.
I need to see it spelled. Hold on.
Yeah, I can never. It's
Mikel
Oyarzabal.
Mikel Oyarzabal.
Oyarzabal.
He was always thought of as a
Mikel
backup.
Oyarzabal.
He was always
Mikel
thought of as a
Oyarzabal.
backup. And he's scored for Spain, but he was always coming off the bench. For him to be able to now start and score has been a pretty cool story for him. Yeah.
All right. Here's another question for y'all. You can all answer at the same time if you want. Your guttural response to the hydration breaks.
Boo.
Oh.
I mean, I'm gonna put it this way: if it was there for actual hydration, which it might be because these players from England are dying in 75-degree heat, but 80 degrees in Seattle is not that hot. It's not humid here. East Coast, I think I would die in 80-degree heat. Seattle, Los Angeles, I mean, especially Vegas, where they're not playing, but like all these West Coast cities, nah, I'm not worried about 80 degrees. It's not fun, but I'm not dying. The fact that they've commercialized it and go to commercials, that's what I don't like about it. Just put the commercials in the corner. Like, you can die really quick from heat stroke. Unfortunately, we've seen it a lot in American football in colleges. There's a kid recently that died at Maryland. We don't want anyone to die in the field. I mean, who's the guy who almost died in the field and then he just almost did it again recently? He played for
Christian
Manchester.
Eriksen.
Yeah, Christian Eriksen.
Eriksen for Denmark.
Yeah, we don't want, and obviously that's not what happened to him, but we don't want another case of that. So I'm all for water breaks, but we've seen it kill momentum. We've seen teams that were playing well come out of it playing poorly. We've seen teams that weren't playing well come out of it and start playing well. And some coaches are using it better than others. But for me, I don't like it. But if we're actually worried about heat, then I guess I'm okay with it.
Yeah, the thing that bugs me the most about this is the fact that they're playing in a dome stadium with just blasting air conditioning, right? And obviously it's controlled environment, and they're having a hydration break for what, right? And my fear is that now I'm seeing a lot of casuals or people that are curious about the sport saying, "Oh, it's the end of the first quarter," right? I'm like, "Oh God, no!"
Yeah, it really is quarters,
right? And so I'm already thinking that I know Garber's on his way out, but whoever's going to be taking over as MLS commissioner is looking at this like, "Hey, this is an opportunity to
say that again."
For a little, for more revenue, hey, that's not a bad idea. Maybe we should do this MLS because I've heard that they're floating some crazy ideas to re-Americanize the sport, and I'm like, no.
They have done hydration breaks before. I know we've had them in Portland before when it was like 95 degrees. We've done them in Seattle. I mean, I'm sure in all of our cities it can get pretty hot. for matches where they may have done them, but it wasn't like you have to do it at this time. It was when it was called for based on conditions.
Yeah, and what really nailed it for me was like I was watching on Telemundo, right? And then they're all like, we're not going away. We're not going to be putting some commercials. We're going to show you what's actually happening in the crowd and, with the players. And they have cameras, hovering over, the player huddles and everything. And then they pan back and you see the big ass Powerade logos everywhere. And the players are forced to drink Powerade during this hydration break. And I don't like Powerade. So I was like, oh, it's gross, man. I'd rather like, drink some crab juice, instead of that, he referenced The Simpsons there.
The ref
doing
drank
crab juice,
pickle juice in the USA. Was it the USA game or no? It was the Belgium versus Egypt game. I think the ref went down, and no, it was the USA game. The ref went down and
USA
had cramps.
Australia.
Cramp,
Yeah, the ref went down with cramps, and they had to bring him pickle juice, which pickles make me vomit. I certainly wouldn't have done that, but. He made himself the center of attention. And then, of course, because he got in trouble for match fixing in the past, the Australians said that match was fixed.
Oh, boy. Hey, a little controversy.
If it was fixed Cameron, then all he did was deny Australia 5 yellow cards against them in the first half.
Yeah. We were watching the same game, I see.
Yes.
All right, folks. Another quick fire question for you. Let's start with Matt this time. Which fan base would you want to party with the most? And I think you've mentioned them already, but can you really, really nail it?
Scotland, my Celtic brethrens. Let's go invade England and have it be Scotland versus Ireland in where do I want to go? Birmingham sounds good. We're gonna recreate Peaky Blinders and drink all the beer.
There you go. All right, Cameron, what you got?
I'm going Brazil. I mean, come on, Carnival, you can't beat it. My cousin was at Santa Clara University in '94 when they were based at Santa Clara University as their home base. And it was apparently an absolutely incredible experience. That would just be so much fun to get out there and dance and party with them.
Man, before I get to you, I have partied with Brazilians before. I went to, I think it was a Gold Cup several years ago in Brazil. I was invited to this Gold Cup, and this was me after having spent an entire year learning Português Brasileiro. Because I had gone to a match a year earlier, sat with Brazilian fans. I had no idea what they were saying, and although I speak Spanish, they were laughing at me. So then I was like, I got to speak the language. So I took an entire year of Português Brasileiro. Eu posso falar Português Brasileiro agora. And so I was sitting there with them, and I understand all the chants and everything. And then they're like, we're going to have a party over there at Zabumbas, and Cobra City. You want to join us? I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. So that was awesome. I met some friends there. Several years later, World Cup 2002, Japan, Korea. The matches were in the middle of the night, right? Brazil is playing these matches, and there is like a little churrascaria out there, also near Zabumbas, and which is in Cobra City. You look it up; it's a really cool place. And so they're having this watch party and these little ass TVs, and they bring one out to the street. And all of a sudden, an audience of like 20 turns into an audience of like 200, 300, 400 people blocking the street, and I'm one of them. And everybody's going nuts because of the game. And next thing we know, like the Cobra City PD rolls up and they have a helicopter flying overhead, and everybody starts scattering across the entire neighborhood. Like, ah! It was awesome. I loved it. I love that memory. For all my Brasileiro friends. But yes, partying with Brazilians is awesome. If you ever get the chance to, please do it. Em, what you got? Who you gonna party with?
I think it might be a little sacrilegious as a USA supporter, but I think the Mexican fans,
Yes.
all the videos that have been coming out are so fun. One of my best friends is Mexican, so he's been filling me in on all the lore with the team and everything. And I do like their players, and they're so fun. I love how everyone has a nickname. Like that's very fun to me. And all the videos of like the South Korean fans being thrown up in the air and everything after the matches, it looks so fun.
The duck in the jersey whose name is Raul Quackmenez. Like,
Yeah, I love that duck.
perfect.
I love that. Now, just real quick, an update, because Belgium wins Group G. They're playing in Seattle in the round of 32 against an unknown opponent right now. And then if they win and the USA wins, then the round of 16 is USA-Belgium.
I like that. Belgium's old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
the
keep being
golden
told it's their
generation,
year.
right?
Yeah, the golden generation is now the ancient generation. Although Lukaku,
Oh, and
when he came on,
all the narratives with 2014 too.
yep,
That would be.
yep. Timmy Howard is going to be everywhere.
Please keep Wando away from the field.
Let's
Oh
get.
my god.
Oh my god! Why did you remind me? I totally
Oh
forgot
my
about that.
god.
Oh no!
As a Galaxy fan, that is ingrained in my brain because every time he would come
Oh.
down, we'd boo him, and all the San Jose fans would get mad at us for booing him.
Oh.
Sorry. Yeah, that's yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I just want to ask real quick what you all think about this. I'm taking over your show apparently, but I haven't done a podcast in like a month and a half. So there is now talks of the Copa America coming back to the United States again and having CONCACAF and the South America teams in it. What do y'all think about that?
I'm gonna offer you an opinion given to me by a friend of mine who's Peruvian, who grew up in Peru and moved here in the states around the same time I did. I think like 40 years ago. And he always felt he's one of our peers. He always felt like Copa America should just be South American teams, period, and that's it. When they started inviting some of the CONCACAF teams over, okay, fine, just because it was a showcase for the World Cup in '94. But then they started inviting other teams. Like you start seeing like teams like Japan, and you start seeing teams like Qatar, and it's like, wait, what? Copa America, Qatar, Japan. I mean, we love our Japanese brothers and sisters, but Qatar, what do they, have to do with Copa America? And then it started getting really weird. And then you have the Copa America Centenario, which I'm like, I mean, I don't know. It's really odd to me. It would be like if all of a sudden, UEFA Euro Cup, they started inviting teams from Africa or from Asia just to have fun. It's like, what? I don't know. To me,
It's the Gulf
odd.
of America, man, not the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, so sorry, I forgot about that. No, but I know they're doing it for money and to just capitalize on and all this buzz we had. I know we had the Copa America Centenario, but I don't know.
Are you really just mad because it's during the Olympics, so you wouldn't get any games in LA and it would be all
well,
in
not
our
only that, but I just feel like it diminishes the Gold Cup, which I think, I feel like a lot of the smaller nations in the region are starting to get better. We saw Curacao, of course, got blitzed by the Germans, but then they fought hard, in the other matches, right?
Watch out for those German blitzes.
Right? You're get mad. But we start seeing like Haiti, that they played hard. Now Haiti
Yeah.
made it to the World Cup, and they play their butts off. Haiti struggled to beat Nicaragua, which is where I'm from, and my country. This is the closest they've ever come into the World Cup, and I'm looking at all these other small nations, and they're getting better, and that's good for CONCACAF. That's why I want the Gold Cup to stay like it is, and I want Copa America to stay like it is. But I know that here we are talking about it, but the people that have the ability to make these decisions are looking at it, and they're like, money, 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 money.
Does it mean more money for the federations, though? Would that mean the Nicaraguan Federation makes more money because they're playing in that? And I don't know the answer to that, but it could.
Yeah. I mean, they'll make a lot of money watching Nicaragua get destroyed absolutely by Argentina, right? But
When it was here last time, it was a lot of fun. I totally get the point you're making, but I had a lot of fun going to the matches, and Messi played in Seattle that time as well.
yeah. Now, hey, Em, what happens if you get Colombia versus the United States up in Minneapolis?
Oh
And
man,
James is
that would
there.
be. So I didn't realize we had the Gold Cup quarterfinals here last summer, and I didn't realize, just kind of how large some of the diasporas are, specifically Latin American diasporas, and how many folks will come show out for these matches. It amazed me. It was incredible, and so I think that U.S. versus Colombia could get a little crazy, a little rowdy, if we had it here.
All right, folks, we're almost wrapping up. So I have one more quick fire question for y'all. Answer real quick. Who is winning the World Cup?
Spain will defeat France in the World Cup final.
Cameron?
I haven't looked at it, but based on early on, I think they had to play in the semifinal in my bracket. But I've got France going through,
Em?
winning the whole thing.
I think a few weeks ago, Edgar, I think you actually DM'd me and asked me this on Twitter. I had said Spain, but I think now I'm feeling France.
And me, I sat there. The Lunacy guys sent me our brothers from the Lunacy podcast sent me like a little thing to fill out. I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, I
Cameron,
did that
right?
one too.
Yeah, and now when I had England beating Spain in the final. I know. It's coming home. And I mentioned this to some of my Brit friends, and they were like, "What have you done? No, shut up. Do not put that hex on us. Shut up, Edgar." And I was like, "It's coming home." I'm like, "Stop singing that song. I don't want to hear it." But yes, I do have England beating Spain in the final. I don't know how that's going to work out with with everything that's been updated, but that's what I had earlier, and I'm sticking with that for now until England proves me otherwise. My friends, any parting words before we head out? M, Cameron, Matt?
Yeah, you can get me at Legal Minded Punk on Twitter. It doesn't say it on the screen because I was banned for 12 months.
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the socials in a bit, but I'm just saying, any
okay.
parting words, anything you want to say before we get out tonight?
Go USA. Like,
Go USA.
I'm not generally a fan. Like, I root against USA basketball because it's boring, right? Like, who cares? This is fun. Let's do this.
Matt, what you got for me, man?
Oh, dude, parting words? It's past my bedtime, Ed. I'm tired. I haven't slept in 4 weeks. I need to go to bed. Go USA.
Yeah. What you got for me, Em?
I think go USA and James Rodriguez, indomitable Minnesota spirit hat trick is still incoming. Well, we're going to see it.
Well, my friends, thank you once again for joining us, whether you're watching live or you're listening to us later on. Thank you for joining us on a special episode of News Across the Galaxy, the Midweek Show, Voices of the World Cup. We hope to have this again soon again. Matt, Cameron, and you're all wonderful people, and my life and the world are a better place with you in it. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight and sharing your light. Can you please tell us where fans can find you on social media and keep up with your adventures across the World Cup and Major League Soccer? Em.
Yeah, I am on Twitter /X, the app formerly known as Twitter, as @DayGlowRaven. And yeah, you can find me there.
Cameron.
Of course, SSFC Scuttlebutt, where I've been for the last 10 months because from the podcast, because I was banned on the night that Seattle beat Miami FC in the Leagues Cup final. I was banned because I was hacked. I didn't really do anything wrong, but I was hacked and people were signing in multiple countries, and it took them 11 months or whatever to straighten it out. I am back on Twitter, maybe 1,000 followers less than I had when I left, but still going strong, I guess. It left being part of my life, and now I'm slowly getting back into it because of the World Cup. So follow me there at Legal Minded Punk, and everywhere else where you can get social media, I'm Legal Minded Punk as well.
Matt.
Check out my written work at burgundywave.com. Check out my audio form work at Holding the High Line with Rabbi and Red. And you can check me out more so on Burgundy Sky than on Twitter by Matt Pollard.
And y'all can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky as Edgar Nags. I've been interviewing people at bars, and you hear me screaming, even though I have a nice little mic. I mean, they can't hear me, so I gotta scream. And it sounds horrible. I'm looking into buying some new mics, so I'm sorry. You gotta put up with that for now. But yeah, like I said, I interviewed Em. I interviewed her and her husband at CVI. That was nice. And I got her interview, and I got a bunch of other people on there and some people throughout the World Cup. Look for more of those on my Instagram feed. For those of you watching or listening, from me and the rest of the News Across the Galaxy crew, we thank you for your support. Please like, share, and subscribe to News Across the Galaxy and to all our friends over here. Go Canada, Vamos Mexico, go USA, and remember as always to keep on nagging. And what is it, Cameron? Wu-Tang forever.
Oh yeah, we'll say that one. Wu-Tang forever.
Take us out, Brian.
They're also for the children. For the children.
For the children. Brian, did you fall asleep? God, because we're going to be on